Hi, welcome to Marketing Without Money, the first of a series of videos from Screen Matrix. My name's Jeremy Nicholson. I've got some 40 years or so experience in marketing across a wide variety of industries and channels, and I thought I'd share some of the knowledge and insights I've gained to make life easier for marketing professionals such as yourself. I asked for topics on Marketing Meetup, and this is the most requested. It's how to set up a marketing function without any money. It's happened to most of us at one time or another. In fact, any professional marketer who's never been handed a budget cut or ever been expected to work with no budget at all has never been truly tested. So there are two scenarios here. The first is implementing a budget cut in an existing marketing program, and the second is being handed a marketing role without any budget. It does happen. I also appreciate nowadays you can get answers to questions like these on ChatGPT or OpenAI or whatever. So I've added some real life examples from my own experience that may help you implement the suggestions I'm going to make. So the first is managing a reduced budget, and the worst mistake you can make in this situation is continuation bias. That is pursuing the same plan but reducing the numbers. I remember I pitched for some business once, and the brief was it was a Fortune 500 company, and they said, we're cutting our marketing budget, but we need to keep our box at the football stadium. So try not to get presented with fait accompli like that. And as in carpentry, the maxim is measure twice, cut once. So start with a clean sheet of paper and tailor a strategy for your present resources and your reasonably foreseeable potential. When you're budgeting, you budget to what you want to achieve, not what you think you have. If your scenario necessitates cutting headcount, try to reallocate within the organisation and keep the knowledge in-house. If that's not possible, then obviously you've got to let people go in the most sensitive way you can. Another obvious move is to identify other budgets on which you can piggyback. So, for example, I was once called in to manage a marketing department for a manufacturing company. The first thing I did was cancelled all print advertising. There was a hefty budget cut. And doing that freed up some media budget, and it meant I could also appropriate some IT budget to upgrade the website into a D2C e-commerce channel. Once this was delivering revenue, I was given the go-ahead to integrate other elements, CRM, push marketing modules into the digital presence, and it effectively turned the business round. So in both cases, reduced and no budget, just go back to basics first. Now, going back to basics, it's an article of faith in the industry that most CEOs don't understand marketing. But it's remarkable how many people with marketing in their job title consider their role to be made up of hiring agencies, writing copy, commissioning photography, video, graphic design, media buying, print management, those sort of things. The first responsibility of a marketing professional is to research the market and optimize the long-term brand equity of their business within it. And that means looking at the 3 Ps: product, position, and price. So what does that mean in the real world? Well, I've worked for clients who make and hold stock of obsolete products. I've worked for companies which sold their products at a loss. I've worked for businesses which underpriced their products. In each case, the marketing function had been blithely continuing to imagine new creative, place media IOs, design and print collateral, and manage the website without questioning the business logic that was at the heart of the organisation. The best move you can make as a marketer is to promote changes to a product or process and its perceived benefits, which will enhance its fit into the market. A great product is the best marketing tool you're ever going to have. So the first thing you can do, which costs nothing but delivers massive results, is question your assumptions. Don't phrase it as a marketing audit. You just get no help and you get binned. Just closet yourself away with some spreadsheets and coffee, and anyone who asks what you're doing, tell them that you're looking into ways of saving their jobs. That will get them off your back. The research you carry out should be under two distinct headings, internal and external. So of course you need to set up and assess your numbers on Google, social media, all the digital channels that you favour. You also need to do gap analysis, competitor and sector analysis, but don't forget your internal metrics like margin, stock rotation, logistics, lead times, channels and cross upsell performance. What are your KPIs and your metrics? Are they still relevant? Often they're going to be seen, these internal measures are going to be seen as the domain of other departments. So whether by charm or force of personality, you need to ensure that marketing has a voice in that discussion. Strategy, quick word on strategy. There are loads of them. However, I'm making huge assumptions that are relevant in my career and applying Occam's razor. Most marketing professionals work for SMEs. Most SMEs are too small to compete on price. So the offer becomes a combination of quality and time. There's only three elements: price, quality and time within an offer. And if you can't compete on price, you have to compete on those other two, and that means, put simply, customer service. So the most common mistake in SME marketing is to place too much focus on how your lead times, opening hours, and stock availability, credit, financing, logistics, and all the other things that make a difference to your customers are in comparison with your competitors and what else is in the market. That is just as important every bit as any product, feature, benefit selling that you carry out. So assuming that you've nailed the holy trinity of product, position and price, and you've got a strategy based on what matters to your customers, then you get into the tactical implementation of it, which is generally the area that costs money. And so these are things you can do. There's 6 here that you can do without any money. The obvious ones is content. Have a look at your case studies, white papers, references, tender documents, RFIs, web content, social media posts, all your promotional collateral, and talk to your customers and see what they think of it and see which bits are relevant to them. So when you update your existing materials, you solicit customer references for your Google My Business page, any similar storefronts you've got, Amazon, eBay, and tweak your positioning statements to include those customer service elements that I discussed earlier. Now, design, video, photography and illustration. Unless you are qualified or gifted, you really need to leave these to professionals. But what you can do is rework existing templates. You change the copy and the images within existing templates, and you can usually do that without the results being actually repellent to your audience. If you've not already done so, obviously make PDF versions of all your collateral for electronic distribution, make them available to customers, journalists and people, put them up on Dropbox or wherever, in the cloud, so that you don't have to waste time sending documents over. You can just send URLs. Just have a look at the templates you use for your CRM materials and your PR content library. So getting to CM, there are products, principally MailChimp, that offer 3 levels of service. I think MailChimp is below 2,000 in your prospect database, which is perfectly sufficient for a lot of businesses. A few hours setting up these systems will repay the effort, and if you use proprietary web CMS like WordPress, or I believe also Squarespace or Wix or those sort of things, then you can add in modules for abandoned baskets and things like that. Also look at blogs, vlogs, podcasts. Use Google Tag Manager in your remarketing in your Google setup. You're a professional. These are tools that you know how to use. SEO, PR and sponsorship. I sort of lump these together because they're content based. Although you need to subcontract SEO when you scale, anyone who considers themselves a marketing professional should be able to establish a competent base level using headings, meta tags, captions, and all the tools and resources. There's loads of stuff online that will tell you how to do this, and if you're using a proprietary service for your website like Wix, then a lot of it is included. PR and sponsorship, they're not strictly free, but you can often trade product for coverage. So it won't actually, come out of your budget if you can swing that by your manager, your CEO. So social media influencers, they also fall within this area, and review copies to traditional media. Networking is one of the most powerful marketing tools you can use if it's done right. It's also one of the most time consuming and one of the most time wasting if you don't get it right. So you have to decide which events and which channels you really want to attack, and then go in and do everything you can with them. You need to diarise this because otherwise it can take up all your time. So do it efficiently, and I would advise once you scale, sub this out to someone else. And then finally, collaboration and barter. Working with partners to share things like exhibition stand space, in-store point of sale promotions, those sort of things. A good way of aggressively seeking marketing share whilst defensively protecting your relationships. I helped a US software company grow its share of the EMEA market once by doing just this, with dealing with systems integrators, hardware manufacturers, other strategic partners to share exhibition and conference stand space, and to have space at their seminars and roadshows. And it allowed us to generate more impact and prestige and reach from what was a limited budget. So those are 6 no-cost options that you can look at. I would suggest you look through those, create a checklist, create a marketing calendar, and look at how you can implement those and exploit them for your clients or your company's best interests. I will be producing a checklist you can download from the Screen Matrix website, screenmatrix.com. So take a look and download that if you think it would be of help. It will also contain controlled costs. So I'm using the term controlled costs rather than tactics rather than low cost, because things like PPC, paid SE, social media are capable of using up huge amounts of money, but they're also capable of operating to a controlled budget if you don't have limited resources. But before we get on to that, one of the first things you can do is look at signage. It doesn't cost much to show your business is professional and active. If you've got some high street frontage, if you've got, even if you're in an office block, window signage, if you've got any vehicles, signage on the vehicles, it generates impressions, it generates awareness, and it's not expensive. The next category would be self-liquidating trade promotions. So if you run promotions through partners or channels, then you can limit your cost, and by being self-liquidating, obviously the idea is they break even or make a reduced margin. But what they will do is help prime the pump and generate future revenue. I don't include voucher schemes in this, because voucher schemes, it's very possible that voucher schemes will end up costing you money, and they skin you. Specialist media. Now, your business may be going through tough times, but so are publishing companies. So you can do deals, you can build up a rapport. If you stick with them during the bad times, they'll stick with you during the good times. It's also worth looking at ways of building a relationship that aren't purely financial. I was working with an SME, and they had one particular trade media partner, and we were able to put together a technology partnership where we could automatically push descriptions of products on sale to banner ads on their site. And that saved us a lot of money in artworking costs, but it also ensured that we had a strong relationship with that media partner, which also paid in editorial. Getting on to the more obvious, paid social media. Paid social media can be very, very effective. You can get a lot of impressions. The only thing to bear in mind is that the numbers you get on your paid social media analytics are going to bear no relation to those you get on your GA analysis, and those in turn are going to bear very little relationship to anything you have set up just to monitor your own web traffic. So be aware that you have to take everything they tell you with a pinch of salt. They're always going to be asking for more money. Use them to your benefit, not to their benefit, and you do that by setting up the geography and the timing, and you're a professional, you know this stuff. PPC, same thing. Accurate targeting, keywords including negative keywords, set your budget, set your geography, set your target audience. There will still be wastage, but you can minimize it and you can work to a budget. And finally, Google, Amazon, markets like eBay, Vinted. Tight budgeting based on research is essential if your costs aren't going to be run away with you, but at least you get the chance to relate campaign spend to revenue rather than impressions or clicks. So look at these. If you are a middleman, it can be very troublesome. But if you are an IPR or a brand owner, then working with these channels can help you deliver revenue, albeit at reduced margin. So I identified a dozen or so cost and control, no cost and control cost options to help you build up a successful marketing campaign. It's up to you how you work, but I favour building a marketing calendar using a longitudinal approach and diarising your lead times and your content messages specific to particular specific dates and campaigns. I also like to create an analytics spreadsheet and copy the metrics and the KPIs away from other analytics feeds to build my own custom dashboard, so that way you can compare like with like. Working from a checklist also improves your efficiency. It means it ensures that nothing gets missed. So if you'd like a copy of these tactics and suggestions in the form of a checklist, you can visit my website screenmetrics.com and download them. My name's Jeremy Nicholson. Thank you for joining me. As I said at the beginning, there's a lot of resources online, but drilling down into what they mean in your particular case is more difficult, and I hope you found my own experiences and this content useful and are able to gain some benefit from it. Thank you very much.